Alright guys, so I'm planning on making two videos. This first one is just going to cover the basics of the back end and some of the front end stuff. And then we'll do another one talking about the membership module. And so basically in this one I'm just going to show you how to log in, the basics of making a post, some basic features that I've installed for you, and just get you enough to get you going. And you can refer back to this time and again. So here we go. So basically I sent you both a login. You log in, you can go to DualSports/WP-admin, and then it'll take you to this login screen, and of course my login's already there, so I'm just going to say remember me and log in. So this back end should look similar to y'all's login. I've moved stuff around here. You can drag and drop things around. Most of this doesn't really matter right now. It's news and stuff in the back end. When we get Google Analytics installed and you start with the membership plugin, there'll be more back here that matters. Over here on the left side is most of this stuff is, stuff that makes the site work, plugins, settings, things like that, options, plugins. Mainly what y'all are going to be dealing with is making posts and maybe making pages and things like that. So that's where you're going to put up your pics and things of that nature. Now there will be more when it comes to the membership stuff, but again, we'll do that later. So right now, let's just talk about making a post. So you're going to come over here to the left. You see where it says posts. Say add new. Super simple, right? Now, there's a few important things on this page you need to understand before you start making a post, all right? Number one is your title. This is super important. Your title turns into your URL. So you want to be careful what that is, and depending on the category we select over here, it'll add stuff to it. For example, DualSports/MMA/UFC 300 betting picks. That might be your URL. So we might do something like UFC 300 betting picks, something like that. And that's going to end up being your URL. See there? That's how that comes up. And if we added a category, it would add a category into that when it publishes. And again, we'll get to categories in a second. So think about your title. That's what shows up. First thing people see is your title, so you want it to be good, you want it to be relevant, and it matters for search optimization. So you don't want it to be spammy, you don't want it to be super long, but you want it to be concise and descriptive. And of course here I've installed the basic editor for you instead of the new editor they have. I like the classic. It works best basically like Microsoft Word. You can add images, links, type whatever you want. It's got all the general stuff you're probably used to. So pretty simple there. Now over here on the right, you need to decide your format. So basically we have standard, which is your article format, video, audio, and gallery. Now the cool thing about this, we've made it so basically if you wanted to post a video or your podcast audio or something, you could change it to a video format, and you can just drop the embed code right here from YouTube or wherever, and it'll pull into the post. And then of course you can post whatever you want below it, in text format. So super simple. Same thing with audio. It changes to an audio embed. In gallery, of course, this is for pictures and things of that nature. I don't know how much you're going to use that, but it's simple. So it's important you think about that when you're making a post. Categories. We talked about this in the email. So I'm figuring you're going to have various sports. So MMA, MLB, NBA, stuff like that. Maybe some opinion sections, maybe some, you can even have user-generated content. I can make it where users can only, post something and then you guys have to approve it. We can look at that down the line. But that's why categories are important. Right now, as I said, we have demo content installed, and that's basically so you can kind of see the design and everything. So be sure when you make a post, it needs to go in a category. That's super important, because if not, people, it keeps your site organized. Tags is super important for search optimization. So your tags are basically relevant keywords to this post. So if we're doing UFC 300, we'd say UFC, UFC 300, UFC betting picks, and all these keywords we would add, right, to the post. Now, eventually, as you add keywords, you'll be able to choose from the most common by clicking this. You can see, again, this is demo, but this eventually will be sports and betting and NBA and UFC. Does that make sense? Tags are super important. Super important. Okay, now this section below where you type stuff, the SEO section. Now this is important too. You see, this is showing UFC 300 betting picks is the same as our title up here, and that can be fine. But the SEO title, this is what you see at the top of, tabs. So it might be UFC 300 betting picks, best, I don't know, say, I'm trying to think of some names, Cody versus Chuck, something like that. So you can get more descriptive, and you can see how it's going to show up in the search engine right here, right? That's why this is your search title, essentially. Description, you want to put a little description there, UFC picks for blah, 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 blah. Search engine, again, use that data to prioritize, what comes up in search results. Keywords, a lot like tags. Just put a few in here. Don't spend a lot of time on these two. Just make sure you do tags. Make sure your titles are good and stuff like that. And also, just a pet peeve of mine that a lot of new webmasters don't pay attention to is they'll write good articles, 600 words, and there's not a lot of spacing between it. I'm kind of getting off on a tangent, but we can discuss that later. It's just a little tip. So, past that, you know how to do that. Now, last thing here, featured image. Now, here is super important. You can see I've got some images uploaded, and you can see they match the posts on the front page. So these are all featured images, right? All these images. It's super important you have them, otherwise it looks like this. There's blank. We don't want that. Also, you want these images to be at least 500 by 400 pixels. You want them to be big enough. You don't want them to be stretched. It'll look goofy. It'll look bad. But add a featured image to all your posts. So that's super important. And to do that, you just click here, and you can upload an image. Say upload. Select the file, and it'll bring up your computer desktop or whatever you want to go to and select an image. And there's tons of royalty-free images on the internet. Just search them up. So yeah, featured image, super important. Don't worry about this. This is basically to change individual post styling. And I mentioned, say if we wanted to have the MMA section different colors and a different layout from the MLB section, we can do that easily. And this is one way you can do it, but it'd be better to do it as the section as a whole. You can also enable reviews on some of your posts, so you can kind of see. It ends up looking something like this. You can see people rated whatever post this was, and it's a demo post, but we can add polls. We can do a lot of things. Global styling, again, this just changes the layout. But the last important thing you must do when you make a post, in order to make it show up here on your front page properly, you need to come down here and say featured post and say feature on grid, okay? And then publish or whatever else. Down here, if this is going to be protected content, would say yes, this is members only or something, but we'll get into that later. But I wanted you guys to understand how to make a post from start to finish to make it come up here. Does that make sense? So again, key points, your title, of course your body, picking the format, picking a category, adding your SEO tags, adding your SEO title and description, adding your featured image. So again, we just add an image, just for example, like this, set featured image, it'll show up there, right? So that way when you publish, it shows up properly. And then the last thing, of course, featured post, feature on grid. So make sure and do that. If you're not sure which one of these to flip, just say, well, don't say ignore, just turn everything on, okay? You can't really break it, but it may not show up right, but just holler at me, okay? Again, I'm hoping this video will be a good reference. We're going to feature that on grid. And here, I'll just show you that this comes up properly. We'll go ahead and do this number. And it should show up this new post, even though it's going to look goofy, but there it is, right? So super simple. And we're going to I'll just leave it up for now. We'll delete all the demo content and stuff. So that's the thing I want to go over with you. Now the next thing, and I'm going to be quick here. I know this is going a little long. So you can see how it's laid out now. Check out your menus, by the way. Standard menus, and then I added the dynamic menus so it shows some of these posts like this. I thought that looked cool. Again, we can change colors if you don't like red. We can do something else. But anyway, that's your menus. We can add stuff in the sidebar. We can put a video here. We can do a lot over here. There's a lot of widgets and things. But let me show you some of the layout options. Just real quick, I know you guys like this, and this is a good layout. I like it. It's clean. It's simple. But this is really easy to change. So right now we have it on this style and this style. So let's just change this real quick and see what it looks like. Just to give you an idea how easy it is to move this around. So we got a little different now. So we got the 2-column here. I'm not a fan of that. Let's try, let's go this number and say this. See what this looks like. Alright, so you can see a little different look there. Kind of like that look there. So yeah. So again, there's just a lot of different ways to do this. You know, I'm just going to change it back to the way it was. Oh, and we can do sliders if we want. Let me show you what a slider looks like. A couple different versions of a slider I installed. It just make the site come up and look like that. And it auto scroll there. You know, so that's one version. Another slider is the smaller one. So again, that brings your sidebar up to the top. Oh, and also there's a breaking news thing here. We can change the colors on that and change breaking to, you know, alert or something. That's your secondary menu here. And again, keep in mind, if you look through these are actually examples of different ways the site can be set up. So we put example posts there. So you can kind of see demo page, full width, no sidebar, only grids and sliders, you know. So if we click on that, you can kind of get an idea of different layouts, right? So if you want to play with those, you guys have access to look at all of these. Nobody else can see this. Anybody else right now will just see the maintenance page. So that's some different options there. Let me change this back proper so at least it's back to the way you guys said you liked it. But I just wanted you to see there's a lot of different options there. We can do a lot. So let me just change that back to normal. And then let's see, again, we'll get into the membership stuff next. Really, that is the main stuff. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about with the sidebar. Let me find the sidebar. Lost myself. There we go. So these are your global sidebars. We can individualize them. You can see right now I've got your social media stuff in there, a little search bar, and this is all the stuff right here. But we can add a bazillion different things. We can add your packages there, I think. Definitely add a member login there. But we definitely need to all three discuss how to set up these memberships right, because I want to make sure it's set up right. You guys understand how it's going to work and think through the best way to do it. So anyway, something I want to talk about tonight. This should be back to normal. Yep. And anyway, I will talk to you guys soon. I'm going to upload this now, and we'll talk later. And again,